Welcome back, everybody. Just get that volume right there. Welcome back to TF Custom Shaving Brushes Workshop. How are we all doing? You all have a good weekend? I did. Let me just go and see what's going on in the chat here. See what's happening. Razor, you're the first in the game, mate. How are you, buddy? How you doing? Oh, there's a couple of others in there according to the concurrent viewers. I was just dropped back to one now, so yeah. How's the is the sound volume and everything all good, mate? Just spot on check first up. All good, I think. I've got the volumes pretty much where I normally have them, so all should be good. Yeah, it was a good weekend, mate. Flying the big model aeroplanes and camping for the weekend with the boys, camping round the campfire with a nice big fire going, and there was quite a few people there all camped on the site, so yeah, it was good. It was a good weekend, good social weekend. While I've got your razor, I might as well talk to you. Look, I'm going to trial a few different things with that hybrid burl. I've actually got, if you give me 2 seconds, I'll just grab it and I'll show you. I can't actually show you because I don't want it to expose it to air, because it's actually, I've got 2 pieces of burl in there that are being stabilised, but the resin's over the top, so they've got to be kept submersed. Now they've been in there for probably over a week now, I'd say, and they've been under vacuum a few times, and then when they've not been under vacuum, they've been allowed just to sit there soaking up the resin. So it's been a fair while now, so because it is burl, I'm giving them quite a bit of time. So it might still be a while yet, but I'm hoping that one of these may be able to be used for your replacement hybrid handle. I do have a couple of other things that are going to be happening very shortly too, though. So one of the other things that I'm going to try and do is I'm actually going to try and make a silicone mould off a piece of burl. So the natural edge and the stuff that I've got, like this kind of stuff. I think this is what let me just change cameras here. So if I go to camera 2, I cut to that. So pieces of burl like that. What I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and make a silicone mould off that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some really darker colours, and I'm going to actually cast resin blanks which will be exactly the same as that. And then what that will allow me to do is the whole thing will be resin, but it will also allow me to put my chameleon powders onto the surface once it's been cast. And then I can cast it with a clear tint or a clear or whatever the case may be. So in actual fact, the whole handle will be resin, not timber burl, but it'll be, I guess you could call it a fox hybrid burl blank, I guess. So that's something else I'm going to be trialling. It's not going to be for everybody, because some people might just naturally want the natural timber. But I'm hoping that I can get it so that it'll look quite nice. And the inside, once it's painted with the chameleon, you don't really know that it's timber anyway. It's really only getting the timber on the outside. So I'm hoping that what I can do is maybe mix up colours that will complement each other. So for examples, if I make a blank the same as this here, and say I do it in a mix of blue and black or something, then the transparent one on the other side can be either clear or it might be a very, very, very slight tint of blue. And then with the chameleon pigments in there, you should still get the colour changing through that very, very light blue tint. So there's a few things I'm going to play around with that, because I think I need to look at alternatives long term. And obviously timber is a bit of an issue. Now, I know the reason why your one cracked, and it was basically because the Surgeon rhodium knot, I thought I'd given it enough clearance around the knot, but obviously it wasn't, and obviously when the knot got wet, it had swelled up, and that's what actually caused it to push the timber and the resin apart. So it wasn't a failure in the actual handle as such, it was a failure from the knot expanding and causing the timber and the resin to separate. Even although it was cast with an epoxy, which really probably should have been fairly strong, but I think because we have the black acrylic and the chameleon between the resin and the timber, one of those, well, both of them actually let go, because the chameleon let go from the black acrylic. You know, the black acrylic was still attached to the barrel, but the chameleon was attached to the clear resin. So it had separated between the black acrylic and the chameleon. So I think by doing it this way and still having that natural look on the inside of the blank, but being all resin, then the knot will not crack the resin. It's only the timber, it's just got too much force when it expands with the water. So hopefully we can avoid that in the future by doing these fox barrel blanks. But anyway, we'll see how we go with it. And I'm still gonna go down the path. We'll just go back to one. I'm still gonna go down the path and trying to make the stabilised ones work as well, so that we can have natural barrel. And I think that the acrylic and the black acrylic pine and the chameleon resin, and then when I pour the resin on top of that, it should all bond better being all acrylic. But I think the big lesson here for me was that the knot swelled that much that it's actually forced the two materials apart. And I have spoken to Surgeon about it, and yeah, it is an issue. So something for me to be mindful of with when we reset the knot. So it will take a little bit longer, Mike, but stick with me, and it will be replaced for you. Now, who we got in? So it's Razor talking, well deserved, mate. Yeah, good. Sounds good, mate. Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, well, actually, when the brush arrived to me, it was still wet, and it was still swollen. I've actually let it sit, well, since it arrived here, which was a number of days ago now, but it's now dry, but it's still a little bit larger than probably what it was when it was first set. So obviously, when I reset it, the hole will need to be bigger. It won't affect the knot any, because again, once the knot expands, it'll expand to the larger size anyway, but at least this time we'll have relief in it where it won't hopefully force the two materials apart. Mr. Spencer, how are you, buddy? Grey Dog, how you doing, buddy? Welcome back to the show. This Phantom Nebula that I'm going to be doing is for another customer. So I think he was going to drop in. He was going to drop into the stream soon. Yeah, no problem, Matt. You do what you've got to do, buddy. I'll be here for another, a couple of hours yet, so it's no big deal, mate. If you want to drop back later on, feel free. Yeah. Anyway, look, let's get on with it. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update, Razor. That's all. Just that I haven't forgotten about you, mate. Did your other one arrive yet? Right. Let's get started, eh? Let's get started. Without further ado. let's see how we go, eh? So I'm just going to straighten out the end of the blank again. So what I'll do is I'll put these to one of the other cameras now, so we'll try camera 2 for a tick. We'll just see how we go on that one for a while. Have a look at that. Tiny little bit, oh no, that's right there. Tiny little bit more. I don't know if you can hear the difference in that cutting. I actually changed the carbide cut around and gave it a little bit of a sharpen too. So it's on a new cutting edge now. So it's a little bit more aggressive in the cut, but without being too aggressive, obviously. Let me have another look at that now. That's better. Okay, now this is going to be fitted with a 24mm Tuxedo. Now that's all good, Razor. It's no big deal, mate. It was, like I said, it was wet. I've just left it to dry for a fair few days because it does take a while for that moisture to totally clear out of the knot again. Oh mate, look, it was a new thing that I tried with the hybrid, so you know, there's no point in hiding anything. I mean, it was something that I tried. It made a magnificent looking brush, but like I said, it was just a misfortune really, and the fact that the rhodium knots being so dense. I mean, it's not the knot's fault, it's me as a brush maker's fault. With the rhodium knots being so dense, like really dense, just taking on a lot of water as they do, and they hold that water, but then the knot actually swells, and it's surprising how strong when that knot swells. Now I know that I've done some wooden handles some time ago for Surjan. He had brought some nice burl in from overseas, and I made him a whole stack of handles, and the handles, we knew that we had to make the walls on the handles fairly thick, so we done that. Anyway, I finished all the handles. We had some beautiful looking handles, and we sent them down to Surjan, and you know, he had quite a few of them actually split on him after he'd done his QA checks, but fortunately he had done the QA checks that he knew he had to do, you know, so because of that, those ones split. So you know, we realised then, well, okay, well, on those bigger knots where they're really dense, we've got to do something about it. So some of his handles are going to have a ring fitted inside the top of the handle, which will restrict the knot from swelling too much, causing, you know, the timber to split. If it's in resin, they seem to be okay in resin. It's when they're in timber they just seem to split the timber on the grain lines. So it's an issue that we're both aware of. So now that we're both aware of it, And I thought I'd allowed enough clearance in that handle that I made for Razor, but obviously for the 30mm, because it's a big 30mm knot, obviously it just wasn't quite enough, and it just had like 1.5 mil or whatever expansion more than what it should have had, and it just blew the knot apart. Well, it didn't actually break it apart, it broke the resin, separated the resin from the timber. So yeah, so you know, what I'm doing now is fixes to fix that, and then hopefully these fixes, when I do that, it won't happen again. And if it does, well then I won't do any more of those types of hybrids. I'll do them another way. So that's why I'm looking at making a fox burl now, which will be made out of resin, and I can still put the chameleon pigments on that, and then cast it in a clear or a tint, and it will just look pretty much the same on the inside of the handle. You'll still get that chameleon changing colour, but the outside will be all resin, and the whole brush will bond together better being resin to resin. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. We've just got to work through it now, and Razor's been good about it, and like I said, I just want to get him another brush made, but I want to make sure that when I give him this one, we're not going to have a repeat. So just got to get through it. Alrighty, let's move on, eh? So we're going to drill a 25mm, I'm fitting a 24mm Tuxedo in this handle for Ben, I think it was, his name. I better check that too, right? I'll get this set up first. He said he was going to try and drop in the stream, so he might drop in. If he does, I hope he introduces himself, says goodbye. If not, doesn't matter. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, excuse me, till I have a drink of coffee. So I'm just going to check where I need to be with this one. So I'm going to go on about 15mm to start with, and then we'll check that. So we'll fire this up, not too fast, and we'll slowly bring this in. We'll start it, then I'll take it back and set it on 0, and then we'll bring it up till it touches the end of the blank. Which is a bit there. And then I'll go in until I hit about 15mm. Actually, let's see how that is. Set that back on 0, take it right back. Got to make it slightly bigger. That's a 24mm knot, that's a 25mm hole, but that won't fit in there yet, so I'll need to open it up a little bit first. So what I'll do is I can leave that in there for now. I'll get rid of that out of the way. Then I'll bring this around. Okay, so I'm going to set this on. I'm going to take it to about 26, so that's only going to be like 0.5 mil off either side. Yeah, just need to lift that a touch more. Now we'll go on with this. We'll speed it up a bit now. Just drop that a touch. It's amazing just the tiny little adjustments you need to make to get something to cut right on the lathe. And to get it to cut where you want it to cut. So all I'm doing here is just going straight in now and clearing that until I hit the bottom. We'll just give that a little, take a sharp edge off it, and then we'll try that knot again. So it's still too tight, so I'm just going to take another ½ mil off that. So for a 24mm knot, it's still fairly big. It's actually bigger than 24 by the time you take it all out. Okay, so that's her in now, and that's relatively tight there. And we've got 57, so we need to go on another 3mm with that. And I'm going to still make that a little bit bigger yet, because it's still just a little bit too tight to what I like. I'm going to go on another 3mm depth as well, and then we'll clear out the bottom again, and then we'll go right. So on 0, that's where we are. Slow down. So I went in about 12, 13, so I'm going to go into 16, and I reckon that'll be enough this time now. Get rid of that. Get rid of that for a second. Bring that back in, and we'll just take out the last of that bit in the bottom there. That's it. Get rid of that. Let's check that. Give that a little bit of a round so we don't cut any bristles. That's better. That should bring us up around about the 50, 53, 54, yeah, 53. That's 53, so that's good. I'm happy with that. And I'm happy with the size around the knot too, so that's good. Okay, let's have a look, see what's happening. Hello, 1, 2, 3, how you going, buddy? It's Ben, isn't it? Is it Ben? your handle has started. So you've got in just in time, mate. I've just drilled the hole for the knot. I'll go to camera 3 and I'll just sit the knot in there. So that's it with the knot in. Oh. That's it with the knot in, so you'll see it on that one and you'll see it on that one. So that's it with the knot in. And if I go there, you'll see it top down. But we're just going to start shaping it now. So just bear with me for a little while. Okay, so a little bit of shaping taking place. Okay, get rid of that. G'day Ryan, how you doing, buddy? Okay, on with a little bit of shaping. And Ben, you said in your last text message to me that you wanted the handle no less than 65mm. Do you want it longer? Or is 65mm what you feel comfortable with in your hand? Because I can make it a little bit longer. I'm happy with 65. Okay, no worries, mate. We'll before I set the overall length, we'll just have a look at it, eh? all I'm doing now is just getting that top section round, making sure that we're getting the shape proper. We're pretty much there with that now, so I'm happy with that. Now you wanted a double band here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that just in a little bit like that, and then we're going to go in with a second band like that. That one to round. Take that one down a little bit as well. I'm going to round that a little bit more. There, a little bit off there. Okay. So I'm just going to change over to the carbide now, lads. Speed it up a little bit. Check my height first. I think my height should be okay. Just need to make sure I keep myself clear so I can see what I'm doing. Before we get too much further, I'm going to just take that off. starting to take shape. I might flick you to that shot so you can see it from side on for a little while. That. Just let me get rid of that that one there. Okay. Okay, now, so I'm just going to have a look at that and just see how the proportions look with regards to the length, because I think I can probably sneak another few mil in that and it'll still look okay. So I'll just bring that in. So currently at 65, that's where we'd be there, about there. Let me just see if I can get that on a piece where we can see the pencil mark better. So 65 would be there. And I'll put you on that top down shot. So 65 would be there. But I reckon we can make this 70 mil, which would be even past my original first mark that I put on. So let me just mark that for you. I don't think I'd want to go much more than that. I mean, I've got more there if you wanted to go more, but I think there's going to probably look alright, that one there. So what I'll do is I'll drop this right down and I'll bring it out a touch. And I'll use the parting tool, Ben, and I'll just mark where I think it needs to be. And I think we'll still keep it in proportion there. So that's actually going to give you a handle length of around 70 mil. Yeah, 70, 71 mil. I think that'll be a nicer size. It's going to be longer, but it's going to be nice in the hand, comfortable in the hand. And I'll get it nice and rounded on the bottom. I think that'll look nice. So, with that said, since you're happy with that, and I'm happy with that, I'm just going to put a bit more of a pattern mark in there now and set that as the bottom. And I'll give it a clearance cut. Set that in as well. Might even go a little bit deeper there. do it. Put that out of the way. Oh. Ah. So I'll bring the tool rest up again now, and I'll do a bit more shaping at the bottom now. So we'll just relieve that a little bit, give me more room. Get rid of that. Now I'll come in and round off the bottom. A little bit more with the parting tool, so I just need to drop that down again. More room. Lift this back up. Bit of clearance. Back to the carbide. Okay, that's just got that rounded over now. And blended the bottom with the handle curve up here. Still a little bit of a lip there, so I'm going to work that out. Much better. A little bit there. Much better. I'm going to take that down just a little bit more. Take that on a little bit. back in just a little bit. That's that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just have a look at that with the knot sitting in it now, just to see how the proportions all look. Doesn't look too bad, what I'm seeing so far. That looks nice. I'll just give you a look from the side-on view there now. G'day RL, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, so that's it from the side there, as you can see. I think proportion wise the handle's bigger than the knot, which looks okay. The shape of the handle's nice. Once I soften up all those edges, it should be quite nice. We'll get all those marks out there, the tooling marks, they'll all sand out now. That's all fairly smooth, so that'll all sand out nicely. We've got a loft of 50, what did I say it was, 53. I set the loft at. Oh. So 50, I'm sure it was 53 I wanted this one. Yeah, 53. So that should be a nice loft for that. Actually, I'll give it a little blow with the air just to get the crap out of it. Just a nice blow. So that's there. I'll give you as a head shot down. So we'll go to 3. So there you go, that's it with the knotting. I think it looks quite nice actually. I think it's nice proportional wise. So we'll get going. Bit of sanding now. Get rid of my dead cup of coffee. Over there. We'll do a little bit of sanding. So we'll slow it down, start again. We'll do all the detailed sections first. Okay, it's that one. Good to see you guys are all chatting away there. The more the merrier. Right, so that one. So what have you been up to, Ryan? So all I'm doing here at the moment is I'm just looking for any deeper scratches from the previous grits, and I'm making sure that I'm getting them out with this grit before I go to the last grit, and then before we go to the water grits as well. That way we should have less chance of having any fine scratches in the handle anywhere when it's buffed and polished. That one. So I must have missed it. Razor, did you get your other brush yet? You did, didn't you? Yeah, I did see that, mate. I've actually got a copy of the photograph. It was a terrific photograph with all the handles sitting in amongst all the knots. It was a terrific picture. Right, I think I can go to the last stroke now on that one, on the paper. To ship to the States, I think they say anywhere around about the 10 to 14 days to ship to the US, but that's pending everything being back to normal. That's what it originally was. I mean, most of the time it's there sooner, but that gives you an idea. And if there's any delays, well, Australia Post sort of tell you that you've got to allow 21 days, but normal airmail over, it's anywhere between a week to 10-14 days normally. I mean, with the current situation around the world with COVID and everything else that's been going on, it's obviously made things take a lot longer. I waited about 2.5 months to get some products over from America. It took 2.5 months, but that was obviously ordered in the midst of the COVID, both in America and here in Australia. But the goods actually sat in Miami airport waiting to leave for the best part of that 2.5 months too. It was only in the last few days it got shipped, and as soon as it got shipped it got to me. So the majority of the time it was sitting in the US. But prior to all that happening, it was normally a week to 2 weeks. And most of my brushes arriving in America would be within that period. The rhodium knots are hand-tied knots, Ben. There's only one person that I'm aware of that hand-ties their own knots in Australia, and that's Sarjan from Rhodium Knots. You can look him up on Instagram or Facebook. If you go onto Instagram and look under Rhodium Knots, you'll find him. He's based here in Canberra, and we do a bit of business between each other, so I do work for him, he does work for me. But as far as I'm aware, he's the only he's the only producer of hand-tied knots in Australia. So it's good to have him here. And his knots are absolutely to die for, but they are expensive, but they are, if not the best in the world, they're up there as being one of the best. They're very, very dense, very, very soft on the tips of the badger hair. So they've got everything going for them. Nice strong backbone, but very, very soft feel on the face. Yeah, he sometimes drops in the stream razor, not all the time, but sometimes he does. But if he does drop in, he will introduce himself. Grey dog, I wouldn't say a good market, mate. I mean, I do send a few over there, but it's mainly custom stuff. You know, guys that want something particular. And I've had quite a few brushes over the last, I mean, I've only been doing handles and brushes for probably, say maybe 3-4 years now, and in that time I have sent quite a few over to America. So I'm just getting rid of any scratches by sanding in different directions now. So any deeper scratches will be taken out with this grit. And then after this one I'll change to the 1000 grit wet and dry. And then I'll go to the soft pads. And all going well, we'll put a couple of sanding abrasive creams on it to take it down to the last bit, and then final will be to buff and polish once I part the handle away from the waste piece in the chuck. So I'm just making sure that there's no deep marks anywhere in the handle. How's that picture-in-picture working for you all? Okay? So it's just on that constant shot, but then I can change, you know, through the cameras, and that picture-in-picture stays there in the same full shot all the time. Okay, so a little bit of water and a little bit of 1000 grit. I'm just going to slow that down. So again, I'll work the details first. Grey Dog, I actually am a vendor on one of the Australian forums, which is Pest and Cut, which is an Australian shaving forum, but there's a lot of other nationalities on it as well, so it's not just Aussie, but it's mainly Aussie. I wouldn't want to go on too many, Mike, because I've said once before, I do enjoy making my brushes. I would hate for it to get too big on me, and like I said before, I'm quite happy where I'm at, doing, you know, a few brushes here and there. I've got enough to keep me happy, but I would hate to have too many that it then becomes like a job again, because I don't want that to happen. I'm happy as a hobby, and I think if I was to spread around a few forums and you know, show a lot of my work, then I'd be afraid that it would start to get a little bit too out of hand on me, and that's not what I want. I'm happy making custom one-offs and some that are the same, you know, like I do everything by eye. I don't have any patterns or dimension drawings unless someone wants me to do one to certain specific dimensions. I do everything by eye, and when I sit one next to the other, that I might have done one 2 years ago in a particular shape, and then when I sit the same shape to 2 years later, it's still pretty close as far as shape's concerned. So I do everything by eye and by hand, and I enjoy doing it like that. I don't want to be repetitious, and I don't want it to get too busy. But if you want to, Grey Dog, feel free, if you're in that group, feel free to put some links up to some of my videos or to my website. I've got no problems with that. But like I said, I just don't want it getting too busy and out of hand. I think when you start getting like that and you get too big and too busy, I think it spoils it, because then you're making the brushes because you've got to, and because you're making money, so you get a bit more repetitious. And you know, I mean, I know some of the guys don't even do their own casting. I know some of them buy castings, and I know that others buy rod stock, and I don't buy any rod stock. All my castings are either, you know, castings that I've done or castings that I've had someone else make for me. I do most of them myself though. And that's how I like it to be. So yeah, I'd just be afraid that it would get too busy, you know. Takes all the fun out of it when it gets too busy like that. I enjoy doing what I'm doing and taking as long as it takes to make the brush. Yes, I still like to make money. I don't like to give them away for nothing, but there's a lot of, you know, effort, time, love put into each one. And that's how I prefer it, to be honest. Shouldn't go nuts. You can go nuts if you want, mate. I'll just tell you when you can get them though. You won't get them all at the same time. But I've got people both here in Australia and elsewhere that have got more than one of my brushes. So in fact, Razor's got one at the moment, but he should have two. But I'm doing him another one. Okay, let's have a stop the lathe and have a look at that, eh? Geez, that's got some nice blue in it. Yeah, that's coming up nice. So I'll just give it a little bit of a hand rub now that we've been over it with 1000 grit, and then I'm going to go to the soft touch pads and we'll just work our way through them very quickly. Yeah, it's coming up nice, Ben. I'm glad you like it, mate. Like the look of it. It is coming up nice. So I'm just going to get rid of that piece of 1000 grit now. I'm just going to work my way through these soft touch pads just to put another level of finish on it. That's one. is something about wood turning and you know, just being on a lathe. I mean, it's I find it satisfying. I get a lot of enjoyment out of being on the lathe and just, you know, working away and being creative. And I guess it's something you can, you know, you can put a lump of timber on there and you can turn it into something and you can finish it at the same time on the lathe. When you take it off, you've got something to look at, you've got a finished product or a finished item, and it gives you a bit of satisfaction, you know, like I enjoy it. It's to me it's a bit of a release, and I do enjoy working on the lathe. I've worked with timber all my life. I was a shop fit and joiner to trade from when I left school. I did leave school and go straight into an agricultural diesel mechanics job, but it's not what I wanted to do as a first choice. So I did get a job doing that, and I'd applied for other jobs at the same, other apprenticeships at the same time, and fortunately one came through in shop fit and joiner, and I took that apprenticeship and gave up the agricultural diesel mechanics one. And I've always worked with wood. The company that I served my apprenticeship for was an old school shop fit and joiner, where they had journeymen working on benches in the plant, with a whole level of journeymen just working, making things. It was all exotic timbers. We'd done a lot of courtrooms, old hotels and bars, courtrooms, you know, banks, but all in the old style exotic timbers, all handmade. And then we used to make them on the bench, and then they'd be taken apart, sent out to the job, and then we'd go out and install them as well. So much different to today's joiners. A lot of the time they don't know how to make a cabinet, because all the cabinets just get sent out to them on the site and they just install them. So really they're installers, they're not really proper qualified joiners or shop fitters. But that's just the thing of the times. It's just how things have gone, and you know, I guess you can only go with the flow, really. Yeah, the wooden handles do take a little bit more looking after, mate. I mean, especially if you're a bowl latherer. If you're a bowl latherer, you've got to be careful with the wooden ones that you don't chip them, because if you chip them, then you open up the timber, even though the timber possibly has been stabilised, but sometimes you can open them up to water ingress, and if you get water into timber brushes, we know what happens. But by stabilising the timber, you can sort of normally prevent a lot of that happening, but you might just end up with dints in the brushes, you know, where you've maybe dinted the finish if you've hit it too hard in the bowl or something like that. That's why I like the acrylics, because the acrylics sort of stand up to a fair bit. I mean, you can still break them, you can still chip them, especially in detailed areas like, you know, these areas here. They're the weakest points. But that's why I tend to still leave them fairly thick, not too thin, because you know, obviously the thinner they are, the weaker they are, and the more susceptible to getting damaged. But Yeah, the timber ones do take a little bit more caring for. And again, it depends on how the timber ones are finished. I do a few different things with my timber ones to make sure that they won't take on water. I mean, even that one that I've had an issue with of razors, that wouldn't take on water, and that wasn't what caused the issue. It was more the fact that the knot was that dense, and it expanded when it took on a lot of water, being so dense a knot, and that's what caused the materials to separate. But like I said, I'll be doing it differently the next time, and that'll hopefully eliminate that issue. But there's a lot of different finishes you can put on them to prevent it. Yeah, CA is the toughest finish, Grey Dog. I use a lot of CA finishes myself. And I'm the same. I normally put on about 15-20 coats, even on when I used to make pens. I used to put on about 15-20 coats to get a nice hard solid finish. It's one of the toughest finishes around for pens and timber shaving brushes and stuff. It's a terrific finish. Takes a bit of knack to get used to it, but once you grasp it, it's like riding a bike. You never forget it, and you can get a really nice finish. The only thing with the CA finish though, and you can do things to change that, but some people don't like it because it makes the timber plasticky. So some people don't like that, but you can dull it down. You can make it more satin, and then that brings back a more natural look to the timber. But it can give nice depth to a nice grain too, having a CA finish. It can make the grain really pop and give it nice depth because you're putting so many coats on. It can give the timber grain some nice depth and character, and it can look very effective. So we're getting there. I'm just going to give this one a little bit of a hand sand as well, just to make sure that we've got no radial marks in there from the previous bits in the pads, the soft touch pads. Yeah, I think it takes you a few years, Grey Dog, to get in the swing of it properly. To learn the tools, learn the different cuts, learn what looks right, what doesn't look right, perfect your finishes, what different finishes, you know. But it's satisfying, it's worth it in the end. You can turn out a nice quality product. I mean, shaving brushes, I mean, I've done a fair few timber brushes as well, but I do prefer the acrylics because the acrylics just totally eliminate any possibilities of risk with regards to taking on water. It doesn't matter about these ones because, you know, they just don't take on water. Water's not going to affect them. So from a longevity perspective, I think the resins, the epoxies and polyurethanes and polyesters and all that sort of thing, they come into their own in that area. And that's why I do more of these for my shaving brushes than I do timber. But it's nice to have timber every now and again. I still like to do a timber one. In fact, I will be doing some timber ones on the stream. And I do plan to do one or two of them fairly soon. There's an American fella called, have you watched Zach? I think it's Zach Higgins, I think is his name. I forget his YouTube channel, but he does a lot of casting, but he does it for all different purposes, different reasons. He's from America. He does a lot of YouTube stuff. He's an interesting fella to watch casting and making things. No, I've never made any metal handles, mate. I mean, I do have a small metal lathe, which I use sometimes on my acrylic handles when I'm making up two pieces to go together. So I like to machine the surfaces perfectly flat on the metal lathe rather than doing it by hand. And then I'll turn the handle by hand. But in fact, I've done a few fairly recently, and I've got a couple of blanks just sitting to the side of me here, which are. I've got parts which have been made, well, cast specifically for that reason. But with regards to metal, I don't do metal ones. It's mainly acrylics and, like I said, timber, hybrids, that sort of thing. You can get very creative with this sort of stuff. With the metals, I mean, you can really only do copper or aluminium or brass. You're very limited to what you can do, but with the acrylics you can make them any colour, any shape. You can join different bits together, all sorts of stuff. Okay, well I think that's us finished the pads, so I'm just going to give that a little dry off and get rid of the water for now. And I'll just give this handle a little bit of a dry off. Grey Dog, your wife wouldn't like the smell. What smell? Are you talking about resins? Because the epoxy that I'm currently using, I mean, I get it locally here, but you do have resins in America as well that are similar, and they don't smell. They have no smell. Okay, I'm fairly happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a little bit of a sanding abrasive on it, and then we're going to give it a finer one again, and then I'll get buffed in the end. That one aside for now. Go to this one. Turn the lathe down. speed it up a bit now. Just keep working that paste in. It breaks down as you keep rubbing it until you exhaust it and there's nothing left, and that's it done its job. Yeah, especially in the States, Grey Dog, there's a lot of different types of resins out there now. You know, Alumilites, and there's all different types of epoxy resins now that don't have smells. The bad one, and the one that you're probably thinking of, Grey Dog, is the polyester resin. I mean, it's very, very strong smell, and it is toxic. But a lot of the other ones now are really good. They've just got no smell. So that's starting to look okay now, but I'm just going to put a little bit of this finer one on it. Doesn't take much. And again, I'm just going to spread that around. Until we get it all covered. Okay, now we'll just go slow again, and we'll just work that into the handle. So again, all I'm doing is just working that paste in, and it's got a very fine abrasive in it, so as well as polishing, it's abrading as well, but to a finer degree than the other abrasive paste that I put on. So there you can see the handle from side on now. You'll get to sort of appreciate it more when you see the side view and the top view, the shape and just from different angles. So I'm just going to speed it up again now and just give it a nice bit of a fresh buff. That should do that. It's still to get a final polish. I do have another polish that I'll put on this, but that's pretty much smooth as there at the moment. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it around, and we'll put it in the other chuck now, and we'll do the bottom. We'll set, this one's getting a antique silver coin recessed into the bottom of it as well. So we'll do that now. Basically all this is finished now. So take that handle out, that chuck out I mean, and swap it with the other one. Okay, let's put that handle back in now. So I'll just show you before I go too much further. So there's that, if I can show you that, like that, there's that handle with the knot. You can see the shine in that now, in that camera shot. So let's turn it around anyway, let's move on. So now we're in expansion mode on the inside of the socket of the handle. And that's spinning pretty true there, so I'm happy with that. And I just like to give it a little It's looking very good actually, and I think that'll do it. We'll bring the tool rest in, so make sure I've got enough room, and we'll just bring that in. That'll help hold it securely. Drop the tool rest. And now I'm just going to part that waste block off now, so I'll change back to that view. I'm going to give that a bit of relief. And there we are. Sorry about my hand over the top there. And there's our waste piece. So we'll just take the tailstock back out the way now. And we'll turn the tool rest around now for doing the bottom of the handle. So somewhere around about there for now. And I'll check the height with the spindle gouge. Yep, that shouldn't be too bad. So I'm just going to hollow the bottom slightly. So that when we put our coin in, the coin is going to recess up into the bottom of the handle, but I still want a slight round on the little ledge that will be left. So and that's all I'm doing now, is I'm just tidying that up now. I think that should be good enough. So I'll put my steel rule across the bottom of that now. I don't think you're going to see it in the camera, but that's got about a mil hollow in the middle, so the handle should sit nice and flat. And now I'm going to put a 25mm recess in the bottom to take the coin, the medallion. So take the live centre out. We'll put the Jacob's chuck in with the Fosner bit, and we're going to set that to 0 on the tailstock. Turn it down, going nice and slow. And then once we start, so there, so I'm going to take that back to 0 now. Then I'm going to take the tailstock in until we hit the bottom. There we go. And now I'll go in 4mm. Nice and carefully, because we're only held in expansion mode. So that's 3mm. And that's us just hit 4mm there now. That's that. We can take that out now. We'll just give this a blow out. Give the cameras a quick blow. Get rid of the dust. Take that out the way. Now, so what I'm going to do now is just go through the grits again, just to sand that little ledge that we left on the bottom, which is slightly hollow. I'm just going to stop that and just have a little hand sand on it. It's looking okay. So that's that one. Then we're on to this one. And then we'll go, I'll just get rid of this out the way. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a rub with the wet now. Next stream, because I was away at the weekend, I was sort of a bit longer this time between streams, but hopefully I should be back to every second or third night now. So if you've subscribed to the channel, you should get a notification when my next one's scheduled for, because I schedule them in a day or two before, or I try to anyway. I haven't got another one scheduled in at the moment, but I will be scheduling that in either later tonight or sometime tomorrow. That will be scheduled in, and you'll get if you've clicked the little bell down below, you should see a little bell symbol there. If you click that bell, that should let you get the reminders. So anytime I post up a new live or schedule a new live, it'll send you a notification. Right, that's that done. Now I'm just going to give that a little bit of a hit with the pads now, very gently and very lightly. Well, I've ordered a couple of kilos of silicone, so I'm going to be making a silicone mould for these hybrid barrels. So I might even, if I can, I might even do a stream on that, so you can see how to make the mould, how I'm going to make the mould from a piece of barrel. But that will be a few days. It might take 3 or 4 days to get here. So it might not be the next stream, it might be the stream after. And I need to do more casting as well, so we'll probably have another casting stream as well fairly soon. Now I will have to be rude, guys, and I'll just have to go over to the buffer with us for a couple of minutes shortly, once I take it out the chuck. It's like I just haven't got the space to move my buffer where I can get it near the cameras. So I'll be off, like I'll leave the cameras running, but I'll turn up the music for you. You can chill to a little bit of music, you can get the chat going while I go away and spend a couple of minutes just buffing this handle up. It doesn't need much of a buff, but I like to give all my handles a buff. It just puts another level of finish and polish on them. And it doesn't take that long, so I'd rather do it. And that's looking good there. So I'm I'm just going to clean up that recess now and dry it off. I've got my epoxy and everything here ready to go, so just want to have a look at that on the bottom. Yep, that's looking okay. That's all good. Alright, so release that from the chuck. There we go. Right, I'll be back in 2 secs, guys. Just let me go and buff this up, eh? come back. So I'm just going to put this back on here for its final polish now. Okay, that should do that. I'll turn the speed down. I think that's good. A little bit of the good old magic polish that I like to use. Oh, too much. Not to worry. That's all right. Use a clean paper towel. If you go to Razor's put up the Instagram page, but there's also, if you go onto the Facebook page, TF Custom Shaving Brushes, which you've been on there, if you go on there and you look for the photos and click on photos, and it will show you all the photos basically since I started recording them all. Will be on the TF Custom Shaving Brushes Facebook page. And then I recently started up an Instagram page, and I've started putting the photographs up on there as well. Now this is when you're going to see this really pop, because this is when it gets the final polish. Now I'm just going to turn the speed up a little bit, and we'll just work that polish into the handle. Under a little bit of speed. See, I can't hear anything, Razor, so I can't help you, mate. You'll have to wait and the other guys answering you if they're having issues with the sound. I don't know what's causing it then, because let me just check the sound on here again. Maybe if I lower that a little bit. So it stopped, yeah? I don't know what it was then, because I haven't really done nothing except to adjust the volume a little bit. Anyway, as long as it's good now, that's the main thing. How is that? Is that any better? Okay, let's get this show on the road finished. We'll go that way, jam that between there, and we're going to set the coin in now, so we'll get a little bit of epoxy. I'll just go and get a paddle pop stick. And we'll stay on that shot, I think, because I'm just going to mix a little bit of epoxy. So we'll mix some here. That'll do that. Before I get too excited, we'll do that. I'll just give this bottom of this knot a little sanding with a bit of rough grit, so it gets good adhesion to the handle. Right, a little bit of hardener. mix that up. Okay, so we'll set the coin first. So I'm just pushing the epoxy around on the base of the handle so that when we do put the coin in, we make contact with the coin, the medallion. That's the medallion in. So I'll sit that there for a tick. I'll get a little bit of methylated spirits. Just to clean any excess off before it sets. So there we can, let me go to camera 3, there we can see the TF custom shaving brushes, monogram in there, maker's mark, okay, and that should be, it's still moving but that'll set within the next minute or two, and then she'll be well and truly stuck, and then I'll move on and set the knot. We can actually set the knot now. All I want to do is make sure that I've got all that clean in there. A little bit of methylated spirits gets rid of anything. So that's that done. Sit that there. I'll keep that handy for now until we set the knot though. So now we're going to get the rest of this epoxy in there now. And then we'll get the knot in there. Once I spread a bit of the epoxy around. I like to just spread a little bit on the bottom, at the very bottom of the knot as well, just to make sure that we have got glue everywhere. A little bit round the side there. That's it, all done. And then we just carefully set that in there. Let me go back to that shot for you so you can see. Oh, you still can't see what I'm doing. You can if I go over here though. So all I'm doing is putting a little bit of, I'm making sure that I squeeze the knot to give it strength, and then I'm pushing that knot down into the socket just to make sure that we get it firmly seated on the bottom. And I just slightly twist it from one way to the other way just to make sure we're getting a nice spread of glue. and within a couple of minutes that won't move. It'll be stuck in there. And I just like to just keep squeezing it in. Make sure we keep checking the bottom as well. Bottom's looking good. Still a little bit of movement there yet, so the epoxy hasn't quite gone yet, but it's getting there. I'll just spread that, and then that's that done. Still moving, but it's starting to go off. There we are, guys. There's the finished brush. I'll get a bit of a closer shot shortly, but yeah, you got that one there. So that lets you see it in the hand. It's got a lovely feel in the hand again. I like most of my handles being a bit longer. You can lock the finger into the hollow in the handle there. Your small finger goes underneath, so you're supporting the bottom of the brush and it sits in there nicely. So you're locking it in there, you're locking it in here, and you lock it in with that finger up in the top band as well, because you've got these rings to get a grip on. Yeah, so nice and pleasant in the hand. You can grab it from there as well if you want to just grab it from there. That leaves the top section free if you do get a bit of lather spreading down there. So you can hold it like that, or you can grip it nicely in the hand like that, and it's all locked in, you know. I'll just give you a bit of a closer shot, so we'll go to camera 2 and I'll just let you see it from there as well. So Phantom Nebula. You're not seeing the pink in the camera as much, but there's a lot of pink in there as well. But it's really picking up the electric blue and the black in there. There you can see the pink there. So there's a lot of pink through it. Yeah, we're getting the pink there, and then it sort of disappears a bit again, but it is there. And then you've got the TF custom shaving brushes in the bottom there, and it sits nice and flat too, so everything's recessed in the bottom. There you go, lads. Another TF custom shaving brushes, Phantom Nebula. Okay, let me just have a check of the chat and see where we're at, eh? Thanks, Ryan. Yeah. So please subscribe down here somewhere, down here, yeah, down there. Please subscribe. If you haven't already, subscribe, click the bell and give us a like, and that'll be all I ask of you. How's that? Let me just check the chat. Yeah, the blue's really electric, it's really nice. So yeah, it works well in that handle, and that just that little touch of pink through it, it just gives it that sort of nebula type look, with the colours in it. The blue is just ridiculously electric. I mean, it just really pops out, you know. and it's got that sort of metallic-y look to it too, which is nice. Anyway guys, I think we're all but done now. So that being the case, I'll just get the chat up on here first, and then we'll be right to go. Just change that. Thanks Razor for putting that up. Still showing we've got a few in the stream, but yeah, Rainbow Falls is a nice one. I've got one of my personal brushes is a Rainbow Falls. It's just stunning with the colours, the colour mix through it. There's that many colours in the handle, it's just incredible. And what's the other one? The other one I quite like, and again I've got one of them in my personal collection as well, is the Rusticated. The Rusticated is just terrific as well. They're all good really, they're all good in their own way. You've got to have variety because everybody likes something different, so you know, that's why I carry some of those different colours and castings. I mean, they're all hand cast, they're all custom cast, but I get a batch of them done at the same time, and that way that they're all the same colour. You just get different swirl mixes in them. Each different blank is different, but yeah, they're just all the same colour mix, so they look similar but not the same. But there's a few nice ones there. Okay guys, I'm going to shut the garage door again, or shut the shed door down again, and shut the workshop up. So again, thanks everybody for coming in. Thanks for coming in and getting involved in the chat, and it's much appreciated. Like I said, it makes it more pleasant being in here when you guys can have a bit of a chat between yourselves when I go quiet, when I'm working away, concentrating here. But good to see you all coming back, good to see you coming into the channel. Make sure you share the links of the videos anywhere that you want to as well, if you know, if you've got other people that want to see them, or are interested in wet shaving brushes being made and that sort of thing. Make sure you share the links around for the videos. Feel free, by all means. You can post them up in other wet shaving groups if you want. It's entirely up to you, so I'll leave that with you guys. But again, thanks again guys, much appreciated, and I'm going to shut the shed door down now, so see you later. Thanks guys, see yous, ta-da, thank you.